This is module number 7, Publishing Saved Searches. So now that we can define a saved search, questions you're going to ask. How can you ensure that only the appropriate roles have access to that search? How do you provide users access to the search when and where they need it inside the NetSuite application? And how do you make sure that the saved search results are actionable? You want to enforce a business process flow. Or task. If a condition is highlighted, do this. In this module, we're going to examine how to publish a saved search so that they are accessible to specific users only, viewable from a variety of places in the application, and display the results in a way that helps facilitate the user to action. 5 steps. Identify the data, publish the search to different application views, show them in a menu, use them as a dashboard reminder, and we'll talk about the concept of email alerts and scheduled emails. First step, I'm going to take a walkthrough here. I'm going to show you what it means for public access, defining audience, and allowing the audience to edit. Okay, we're back in our original search here. And let's talk about the box called public. And I'm going to bring up field level help as a reminder that you can always find help for these fields directly within the record. If you check this box, it makes it available to users who have permission. They can run the search, they can view the search. If you check another box I'll show you in a bit, you can allow the users to edit this search. If I want to make the search available to a more limited set of users, do not check the box, use the Audience tab we talked about earlier. If you want the search results to be available for email alerts, it must be public. And then finally, if you need to make this available for people that don't normally have permission to see the underlying records, you may have to check the Run Unrestricted box. So that's the public. And notice that if I go to the Audience box, it now says Select All. If I uncheck, I can go in and select individual roles. If I choose to define the audience, I can say it's only for the 3 accounting or the 4 accounting people for the Americas team. I can limit the use case that way. If this is a public search, I can say allow the audience to edit. Meaning they can come in and actually change my search, rename it, change the criteria, change the results. If this box is not checked, okay, this box is not checked, what that means is that the person can save the search with a brand new name, make a copy, and then make modifications to the copy that they will then own. That's normally the best condition. That way your search is protected and they can make changes if needed. Another path would be they can just reach out and contact you and say, hey, can you make this change? And maybe you can make the change on the master. Public access, if you check the box, all roles and users have access to the search. It can save employees time and effort, but if you have too many public saved searches, it can become very overwhelming. Imagine if you have 100 employees and each one creates 1 search a month for 10 months. That's 1,000 searches. If they were all public, you'd have 1,000 searches out there for people to look through. That can be really overwhelming. You might want to make certain searches available just to accounting or just to warehousing or just to sales to kind of limit the focus and the scope. Alternate plan, instead of public, audience. You can select what particular roles and or subsidiaries. We talked about the fact trying not to use employees where possible because employees can be high maintenance. Jan has a lot of searches. Jan decides to retire. Wilhelm comes in. You've got to go to every search and touch it. It's easier to say, Jan was the accountant reviewer. Congratulations, Wilhelm. You're now the accountant reviewer. The users must have permission to the record type and the related data to be able to access the saved search. Allow audience to edit allows the users to actually make changes and save it with the same name, overriding your search. If you spend a lot of time and effort developing it, you don't want to check that box. If it's in development, you've got a core team working on it, then maybe that's okay. But once it's out there and it's public and it's being used, the suggestion is not to allow audience to make that change. They will be able to save the search with a brand new name, and they can make modifications to that search. I'm going to go back into my search, and I'm going to show you things about the list view, the dashboard, the sublist view, and the published search. Okie dokies, we're back in our saved search here. And let's talk about list view, dashboard view, sublist view, and we'll talk about reminders and show and menu throughout this demonstration. Let's save and run. And once I save and run, we'll talk about the various places. This is a transaction search. So let's go into transactions, sales, create invoices, lists. I'm going to see a listing of invoices, and it's going to have the default view. But because I checked my search to say available as list view, my search will now be available. Module 6, first transaction search. The data will now reset, and it will now show the fields that I selected. It will show the filters I selected. If I had highlighting conditions going on here that were appropriate, it would show the highlighting as well. So I'm going to see my information, my filters, displayed in these columns. Notice as well, if I was back on default, I can say I want to edit the view or customize the view. When you click on Customize View in NetSuite, it takes you into what? It takes you into a customized search. I can say more options. And here are all my options available. It's creating a brand new search as a list view, as a dashboard view. So you can go either direction. You can create the search and select the boxes, or you can go from the record or the view and select Customize. What is dashboard view? Let's go to the home dashboard. I'm going to personalize and add in a list portlet. And for this list portlet, I am going to show you transactions. And that's kind of nice. But this is now my transaction view. So I can say only show me certain types. Only show me for certain employees. Only show me for if I want to change the view back to the original view. Show me a quick sort. So in this case, this is default. I can say now, go to my Module 6 search, show me transactions, but now it's my columns, totals, status, everything that the way I listed it, including highlighting conditions. Do note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, date column plus 7. I'm not seeing the amount, so I would have to modify my search to maybe remove line sequence number and put in amount so I could have that show. You get 7 plus the date. So you want to make sure that you leverage the most important columns in those first 7. Let's go to ABC Marketing. And on the customer record, when I go out to Sales and I go out to Transactions, I have a listing of transactions here, and looky, View, Module 6 First Transaction Search. It's now available as a sublist view. We're on a sub-tab. This is a sub-listing of transactions for this particular company. I can now see a sublist view with my fields, my highlighting, my sort patterns. And finally, let's go out to Documents, Reports actually, and let's personalize. And you'll see I can add in shortcuts and reports. I also have other information out here, report results. I also have scheduled searches. I also have saved searches. So I can find my searches on the report screen through saved searches, listed here. Or if I've scheduled it to have maybe an email or something of that nature, I can see it here as well. The list view allows you to change a listing of records. Ours was a transaction search, so we changed the view of transactions, the invoices. Maybe in this case, we want to change customers. So we might want to create a search for customers that only has California information and then make that a view, available as list view. Available as a dashboard view converts the list portlet on the dashboard to show the fields that you want. So if I have a listing of customers and I have a customer search, or in our case, we had a transaction search and I had a saved transaction search, I can do it that way. Creating a sublist, I can create the search first and check sublist. I can go to the sublist and say customize the default view and create the search from there. I can create it from either direction. Whatever is easier for you. If creating the search is most important, create the search first. If going to the sub-tab and realizing you need to create the search, create it from that direction. It works either way. So your alternate method is create it from here, check the box, and make it available. On our first screen here, I can customize the view, make the search that way. Either direction works. Publishing the search, I can put it on the dashboard. I can select a custom search portlet and put it out there just as a plain search. Or for dashboards that maybe don't have a custom search portlet but have a list portlet, because I have available as dashboard view, I can convert the dashboard list using a search as well. I'm going to take a look at some more options here. Talk about creating links in the menu pass, custom reminders, and then the concept of email alerts and schedule emails. Okay, let's go back into our search. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to modify the criteria. This will allow us to change things here if we need to. We can personalize the search as well. You'll see I've already checked the boxes, but I wanted to remind you what they look like. And now I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show you what the menu path looks like, the custom reminders look like, and the email alerts. First, we'll take a look at the search as a menu item. So I'm going to go into List, Search, Save Searches. You'll see a listing of all the searches that are out there. And we're going to look for my particular search, Module 6, First Transaction Search. Because I checked the box, it's now available in this process. It's available as one of my saved searches. Okay. will show on the Reports Overview page. If I go into Reports, Save Searches, it'll actually show up in here as well, okay? So I would be able to go through this listing and be able to find my search, Module 6, First Search. So it becomes part of the menu path. A custom reminder. What does a custom reminder do? Let's go back in. We have our transaction search. We've got 8,166. I'm going to move my reminder portlet up here, set it up. Now we're going to add a custom reminder for my module search. 8,166, so this number matches. If you start running out of space on your dashboard, it's a search I want to keep my hands on, I want to follow, but I don't necessarily want to have it take up space. I can now actually hide or remove it, and if this number changes, I've got a direct link to Module 6 First Transaction Search. It's much more effective than a shortcut. It's a smart shortcut. It has the ability to tell you if there's anything that's changing or going on. Okay, let's go back into that search. I'm going to edit the search. And this time I'm going to drop down to email. I can send email when a record is created or updated that meets this search. I can send an email according to a schedule. I can summarize or send if no results. I can choose who the email is going to. I can say if a certain field changes or a certain field is updated. If it's a single email, one response at a time, I can actually have an email template set up. If it's summarized, I can say, how do I want the results? Do I want them within the body? Do I want it as an attachment? And if I'm scheduling it, how often do I want it to go? Every day, every week, every month, every year? When does it start? What is the time frame? When does it end? So if you have a search that maybe is regarding activity in your business and you're based in New York, but you've got business in California, you might want to run a search at 12:01 Pacific time, 3:01 Eastern, so that you get all the results in. And you can schedule it to happen automatically and just come to you in an email. Now, in your demonstration accounts, I want to alert you to the fact that you can set up email, but the demo accounts by default are disabled and will not have email capabilities. So you can set up and see what the fields should look like and how it should go, but you will not be able to actually run an email out of the demonstration account. Show in menu allows it to be seen from the Reports Overview page or from the Save Searches menu. Too many things on here might be overwhelming. So maybe if it's just for a few people, you could just share the name and they could make a local shortcut. Custom reminders, think of those as smart shortcuts. That'll give you the total number of results. And if that number goes up or down, you know you need to work on that search. You can click on the name of the search, which will act as a link, a smart shortcut. Email alerts. Because the search is constantly running, you can see if an alert is generated when the records are created or updated that meets the search criteria. You can choose who it goes to and what kind of results will trigger that. You can set it up according to a schedule. And you can say daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, whatever you want to set it up. When does the series start? What time zone? And we talked about time zone being important. If you're a multi-time zone company, maybe you want to run it later so that you can include all activity from all regions. Some additional information under Setup, Company, Printing and Fax, and Email Preferences. You can decide a default from address. This is something that you can look at the help for more information. If you want everything to come from one generic email, it has to be a valid email box, but from one email, like searches@yourcompany.com. then you could have everything coming from there. Otherwise, it comes from the person who created the search. A nice chart here, email alerts versus scheduled emails, tells you the difference between the two. One of the major things to consider is it can be both an email alert and a scheduled email. Alert me throughout the day when things happen, and then once a week send me a scheduled email to make sure I don't miss anything. Customer support, for example, on cases that go escalated. Tell me every time a case is escalated as it happens, and then once a day or once a week send me a listing of all escalated cases so that nothing falls through the cracks. You can do both email alerts, scheduled emails, or both on a search. Best practices. Allow users to subscribe to a search so they can actually go into their user preferences and be able to say, okay, I want to go into and have this search come to me automatically. This is kind of nice. So as the person creating the search, you don't have to maintain the users. You can just tell the new hires, hey, go out and subscribe to the following searches, and they can add themselves. Schedule a large saved search to prevent it from timing out. If you've got a search and your company is doing tens of, hundreds of, thousands of records, you may want to schedule it if, for example, it's an invoice search and you're processing invoices all day. Maybe you want to schedule it so it runs at the end of the day when there's not activity going on so that you get all the invoices in. You don't have to worry about, is an invoice being created while I'm running the search? Use both alerts and scheduled emails on the same search if necessary. And schedule to run the following day if you want the search to include information for the end of the day. A lot of stuff that I run is 12:01 a.m. So whatever the latest time zone is. And that way I get the latest information from the last place of business. 5 exercises. Set up some filters and restricting access, sublist view, and then some with an email. You'll want to create the searches and work on the searches, but you won't actually be able to generate the email alerts or scheduled. Just to let you know, but the steps are there, so if you need to use that as a template for setting up email at your company, that'll give you the steps that are necessary. After you've completed these exercises, you will be completed with module number 7. This concludes this module.